course, I should have hit the button first, because now we're waiting for a stupid advertisement.
Should have done Careless Whisper.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hey, and welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every evening, every weeknight at midnight Eastern. That's 9 Pacific for about an hour. We talk about guns, and we got hosts. We got Angelina jumping in from California. Thanks for joining.
Hello from California.
We have a guest host because Smeggy couldn't make it, and we don't know where Dano is. We got Dead Horse jumping in from Utah.
Howdy.
And another reason we had Dead Horse coming in is because it's episode number 556. So we've been doing the show for 556 episodes. I'll see Bob out there. Maybe he'll jump in for a special occasion like that. And then I'm down here in Tucson. So might have some of the other hosts jump in and might not. And we do definitely have a lot of people showing up for the show over on gun channels where we broadcast the show, and I guess over on YouTube as well. So episode 556, it's Monday. We like to talk about nuts and bolts, behind the scenes type of stuff. And we've got a couple of things that we like to feature each day. But before we start the show, sometimes see if anything happened overnight, or in this case over the weekend, worth talking about.
Nothing from me.
What was that? I'm sorry. My son came into the room, started yelling at me.
No worries. We've just kind of starting the show and then saying if anything happened overnight or over the weekend. I know you've had a couple of shows over the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. This was a pretty quiet weekend for me. I mostly rested and relaxed. I have a bum leg right now, so I'm trying to nurse it back to health.
We get any better news on that? Didn't you have to go in and have it looked at today?
Yeah, I did. They went in and did an ultrasound, and I have a blood clot in there. They put me on blood thinners.
Oh, it was that. So it wasn't the spider bite or getting smashed or one of the other things you did to it?
Nope. It was just a blood clot, probably for me after I broke my toe, probably from sitting too much. After I got the spider bite and broke my toe, just from sitting around too much and not being as active is what the doctor says is why he thinks I got a blood clot.
Yeah.
I guess that's the most common way to get them is just like inactivity. Like literally just sitting is like the worst thing you can do.
All right, well then let's get moving. So if it is Monday and we're going to be talking behind the scenes, we were kind of talking about there, Angelina's got a, I don't know what you call it, gizmo?
Yeah, I mean a gizmo. Isn't that what they were calling the atom bomb?
I don't know.
The gizmo? No, I think it was the device. Anyway, it's a CNC router by Carbide 3D. It's called the Shapeoko. The Shapeoko 3.
Okay, so Shapeoko.
Yeah, shape, like Shape and Yoko Ono.
All right, so it's basically a plotter, a 2-axis plotter. So a thing that's got a motor on it that goes X and Y. And then instead of being a pen or a water jet, it's a router. It's like a spinning router bit.
Like a spinning wood router. Wooden. I mean, it does aluminum too, but.
Well, yeah. It's not like a little remote or a little cordless or battery powered little tiny Dremel tool. It's the pretty big wood router, so it can do pretty large stuff. And I've seen it. It's pretty big. It's like 3 foot by 3 foot or 4 foot by 4 foot.
Yeah. Yeah. well, you know that table that it's on, that like wood thing?
Right.
So that's 4x4, and then it takes up pretty much all that table. But the cutting area is like a 33x33, I think.
Okay, so just under 3 foot by 3 foot, and giving it some room to be, for its machine. So you get the idea of what we're talking about here, Dead Horse?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That looks sweet. It looks like it just uses a regular router, right? Just bolt a regular router to it.
You got a link handy? I'll screen share it.
Yeah, let me find a link.
But yeah, you attach like a fancy rotary tool to it, thanks. And then it's pretty sweet. So it can do.
So it comes, okay, so here's the real like wonder of this thing, is it comes in a box and you got to put it together from all like the parts. So I had to put it all together from the parts. If you go on that page, you can scroll down and it shows you like all the parts and stuff. So yeah, you assemble it and then you plug it in and it does its thing.
Now I assume it comes with software too to like load up on your laptop to
yeah,
run
you download it and the software is free. So if you want to like play with it and you don't own a Shapeoko, you can download the software for free and play around with it. That's the one I have right there. Yeah.
Now a lot of that CNCing, it matter. I know it matters a lot, like what path the tooling takes. Does that program figure out all the right paths, or do you got to say, oh no, you need to turn this way at when you hit this spot? And
no, so actually, so I have a pretty good background in like vector art, and that's what you want to start with. So I design something, as a vector, and then I bring the vector into a program called Carbide Create, and that's where it figures out like how to cut it, and then see like the bit hanging down. It knows like the size of the bit and everything, and if it's a ball or an end mill. And so that program, which is that like white and green screen on the computer, you select your bit size, and if you want it to pocket or outline or whatever, and then it comes up with the paths. And then from there, it creates a G code, and then you plug it into this other program called Carbide Motion, which controls the actual CNC. So it's a whole set of crazy numbers that just come up on your screen, and it figures it all out. And it tells you how many like moves it's gonna make, and it's like some ungodly amount. But yeah, then it just moves along and cuts something out of wood or aluminum or plastic or acrylic or whatever. And they're the cool thing about these things is they are made in the USA, in Illinois.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
That's really cool that it figures out that the tooling path and everything, because I heard that's like the hardest part in like programming a CNC.
Yeah,
that's a lie right here. Company based in Torrance, California. I wonder why she's trying to make it seem like it's an Illinois company.
It's Carbide 3D is based in Torrance, but the Shapeoko, they put it together and ship it out and everything from Illinois. But they have like a super active Facebook page. So if you're like me, basically, who is, I don't know anything about like tools. I don't own any tools. I think I have like a screwdriver. I couldn't even tell you what kind of thing it is. So I was able to put that together, and then I'm kind of starting from scratch. So it's like pretty easy to use. And there's a whole community of people that are like super willing to help, get you there. But the software that thing uses is made by the guys who made the Shapeoko. So it's like super easy to use, and like, it's super basic. And if you're doing more advanced stuff, you can move to different softwares. You're not stuck to that. But the Carbide Create and Carbide Motion are super good for like a beginner.
And what kind of investment are you looking at with like the software and the station, the CNC machine, like everything? Like you probably got to buy your own router to bolt to it, right? It doesn't come with a router, probably.
Well, the one I have is this one right here, this Shapeoko XXL. So that one is.
It says everything you need except for the material to do it.
Does it come? It should come with the router. I think you can pick which one, because there's a yellow one and a blue one.
If you are outside and need a router, you can buy it from a thing, but they tell you the ones to buy here. But
yeah, so mine totally came, like there's one box that was a Shapeoko that was like heavy as shit, and then another box with the router in it. And it was just like in a DeWalt box kind of thing. But there's a smaller one than this one that I have, and I think it's like 1,000 something, 1,200.
So according to this, it's just saying that the routers are 110, and if you want 220 because you're somewhere else, then you got to get your own. And then if you get, oh, I see. So you can get the XXL with the Makita or a DeWalt. So if you get it with the DeWalt, it's 1,800. If you get it with the Makita, it's 18 something else.
I have the yellow one.
So that's a DeWalt. And then by itself, it's 17. So they're charging you $130 for the router.
Yes, if that's in that.
That's about what they cost, though. I mean, I think that's about the price of the router. So I don't think they're really
yeah, they're just sourcing it for you and probably getting you a decent price. I doubt they're doing this whole thing.
Yeah, I think for my router, I have a DeWalt router, and I think I paid like 160 or 180 bucks for it. So that actually does look like a good deal.
So if since you already have a router, you just stick it into your machine.
Right. So since we now know what we're talking about here, what does Angelina start making with this thing?
Well, I have there's this thing where someone made a rubber band gun that I really want to make. It's like a 1911 rubber band gun. And they made it entirely on that thing, and it looks pretty cool.
But because you're in California and because it shoots more than 2 rubber bands, you cannot make it by law. It would be a ghost gun.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would be a ghost gun. So as long as I put a serial number on it, it's good.
Oh, okay. And you have to let a police officer know.
Mm-hmm. You have to send a picture of it to the state.
All right. Well, Dead Horse, what would you make if you had this machine available to you? If it was, let's say, 8 hours away, and let's say Angelina was going away for, I don't know, like a month, and it was just going to be sitting there, and you knew the combination to the garage to get in there.
Let's see if I could figure out how to mill an 80% lower receiver with it. Because that's basically what that ghost gunner machine is just one of those, from what I've seen.
Oh, yeah, the machines that they make it, that's just a small one of these, right, that sits on a tabletop?
Yeah, it's just a little tiny one. And they just have a special jig is all. It comes with a special jig to hold the lower. So that's the only part I think you'd probably have to figure out is, make a jig to hold it on that table to mill it out.
So make them out of Delron or make them out of?
Just aluminum, because that thing cuts aluminum, those routers.
It does cut aluminum.
So that's a really popular method right now for doing 80% receivers is using a router to finish them.
Would you even start or with 80%, or would you just start with box aluminum? Wouldn't that be significantly cheaper?
I don't know about tooling. Yeah, tooling and time and stuff. I think it would probably be a lot easier just to. And 80% lowers are so cheap anyway. You can get them for $20, $30. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd probably just go the 80% route, but I would definitely be trying to figure out, gee, how can I mill out my own 80s with this?
Okay, so aside from, I guess that one, I guess is a good one for episode 556. I noticed that Rick's over there doing his thing. Rick, Big Gunner 81. He's all into. He should call himself Big Printer 81 now because he just prints everything all the time. But he's done some interesting things at first with like kind of like a upside down thumbtack, except it was a magazine and it would hold a gun for display, I guess. You know, like hold a gun through its magazine well.
Oh, that's not cool.
And then he did some others where they kind of just were racks to hold the gun. And now he's done one that's like kind of like egg crate or whatever, like an ice cube tray, except for magazines, and it holds like a bunch of 1911 mags. So he's over there doing some interesting stuff with the printer. I don't know, is there stuff like that that could be whittled?
Yeah, so if you like Google or whatever Shapeoko projects, people make some like crazy stuff.
Oh, so it's sort of like a 3D printer where since there's so many people that have the machine or the ability to do stuff like a 3D mill like that, or what would you call it, a milling table, then there's projects. So you just have to plug them in, put your material in there.
Yeah, and there's another program called Fusion 3D. So you can create like 3D things. So like with extruding and what's it called? Extruding and compressing. But it's you can either so you can actually it's not all 2D. You can do 3D or like 2.5D or whatever it's called. He's doing aluminum. What is that, a drag bit or something?
This is a smaller one than yours, I think, right?
Yeah, this looks like maybe the XL or the regular. Look at that. That's coming out pretty good.
Oh, he's making a YouTube thing.
That's badass. Like you could be engraving the side of your lowers with that and stuff, engraving a lot of your guns, doing your own scroll work.
And I guess you get different heads for the router that do different things to the metal or the wood.
Yeah, like different end mills and stuff.
And that table comes with those little holes in it, so you can use those little, like, it looks like wood jig type things to hold everything? Or did he drill those
You
holes
gotta make your own table.
Okay.
I mean, it comes with a table, but
like it has this table, right? And then you put this piece in and basically tell your gizmo to go around and do a little dance, and it makes this table.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, after you ruin it by ruining it a bunch of times, like dragging your bits across it or whatever happens, you just make another one.
Yeah.
So it makes your own platform.
That's what I gotta do. I gotta fix mine up. But that thing came out like sweet. Look at that.
That's kind of neat. I think he does show like some of these issues that he had with it. Like they didn't.
This is his speeds and feeds. That's what his problem there is. It skipped a step or something.
That looks like a great investment, like a great toy to play with. Like those are the kind of toys I like to play with. I mean,
yeah, dude. So what's sad is I don't use it that much.
John's saying I'd mill out magazine extension plates for capacity improvement.
There you go. I need to get my like dust collection system on point, and then I need to do some stuff with that thing. I was pretty scared of it. I'm less scared of it now.
Well, don't touch it when it's making a lot of noise. Like, don't.
Yeah, I mean, when it's on, I like try to not go anywhere near it. It seems to get like I've had some, I guess we'll just call them snafus. You know, where it was going and it hit like a clamp or something, and then everything just like goes to hell real fucking quick.
So it hits one of the things that's holding down your piece of material, and then it flies off and everything goes.
Yeah, like I won't have calculated it right, because you got to tell the thing like how big the stock is, how deep you want it to go, how fast you want it to go, how deep you want it to go on each pass, like all this kind of stuff. So I miscalculated, and it ended up like clipping a bolt for a clamp, so it got like all crazy and shit happened. And there's no like emergency kill switch. I gotta just like turn the router off or something, or like kill the power to the gantry. But there's a lot of upgrades and stuff people do with that thing. So you can stick like a laser on it and it'll do lasering.
Cutting or etching.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone bought one of those and they've never played around with that type of stuff before, what kind of learning curve, like how many days or weeks are they going to be messing with this before they can really, like before they get it down and they're, knocking out stuff with it every day?
I would say the two main factors on that would be what kind of experience you have with vector art, and then secondary would be the experience that you have with like tool shit. So the art part of it, for me, it's easy. I got that down. The tool shit, like putting one of those end mills into the router, like figuring out how to get that thing apart. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. That thing took me like an hour. Because I've never used one of those before. So it's not that I'm a dumbass, it's that I've never used one before. And yeah. So like the tool part of it all was kind of a thing for me. And then I was like terrified of it because I cut my hand open on a drill bit like a year ago. So I have like a scaringness from that. I'm scarred. But if you know tool stuff and that's not a thing, I don't know, like you'll be cutting something within a day easily. It's like, it's really not hard. It seems a lot harder than it is.
And it looks like there's a lot of videos on YouTube.
There's a shit ton of videos. There's a Facebook group on Facebook where there's a shit ton of support, tons of people answering your questions. The dudes that made it are in the group too, so they're always jumping in. If you need to call them for something, they have like super awesome phone support. They'll email you back real quick. They're there to help pretty much the life of your machine.
It was a big learning curve for me just to use a router on an 80% lower, just to start learning how to knock out my own 80% with the router, because there was a lot of stuff that, I don't know, that just isn't common sense. There's kind of like some secrets to it, to the trade, so to speak. Like a lot of those mini routers use 1/4-inch collets, so you have like 1/4-inch end mills. But 1/4-inch end mills can deflect a lot, so you got a lot of deflection, depending on, especially if you're doing aluminum or something. And so then the hotter your bit gets, the more deflection you get, and that's when you get like really kind of choppy, jagged lines inside your lower or whatever aluminum you're milling. And then so I found out that there's companies that make a 5/16 end mill that tapers down to a 1/4-inch right where it goes into the collet for your router. So the 5/16 end mills have like 80% less deflection. So by simply switching a bit, my lowers went from like looking pretty shitty to looking perfect, and all it was a bit switch. I didn't do anything else, and it took me a year to learn that trick before someone finally told me, "Oh, you just need a different end mill."
Oh yeah, the same thing with the Shapeoko. So there's a whole like thing to this router shit is feeds and speeds. So how fast your thing is spinning, I guess, and then how fast it's feeding, like how fast your gantry and the axis is moving and everything. So, it's set to go super slow. So the first thing I'm cutting, I'm sitting there and it's like 3 hours in, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this thing's never going to be done. It's only cut like 3 letters. And then a friend of mine who is a big CNC guy was like, you need to like triple those speeds. And I did that, and then it was flying, and it was still cutting good. But like some stuff, like some harder woods, I think you got to cut it slower or faster. I don't know which one. And stuff like that. So there's secrets and stuff. But as far as like cutting, a Ruger sign out of a piece of plywood, you'll be doing that in a day.
Now, like when I'm cutting aluminum with the router, I have to keep it constantly greased up. I use grease instead of oil because it's better for the router bearings. But I have to keep it constantly lubricated with some cutting grease. And when you're cutting wood, do you have to like lubricate that at all so it doesn't start burning into the wood or anything? Or
no, that's just part of the speed. So if I'm cutting it too slow, it'll burn the wood. I got to make sure I'm cutting, feeding quick enough to not scorch the wood. And then also not going too fast to like make it all horrible either.
I know another thing that I've learned with the router is the material. Like, I only have experience with aluminum. I've never tried to router wood or anything like that. But with aluminum, like I always learned, and from my experience, that 6061 aluminum lowers were a lot easier to build, to drill out basically the old-fashioned way using a drill press jig and then touching it up with a file. But when I started doing 6061 on the router, it started chipping off wrong, like and I couldn't figure it out. And a guy told me to switch to 7075 aluminum lowers, and it would turn out a lot better, and it did, like way better. Mm-hmm. And because the 6061's so soft that when the end mill goes to chip it off, it pulls more material off than what it actually should. And since the 7075 is harder, it chips off like perfectly. So with the router, I've learned that the actual harder aluminum is actually easier to cut with the router.
Yeah, I mean, well, if I'm cutting like pine with the Shapeoko, it's just like sliding right through. Most of the wood, it's pretty easy. Because all these like bits I'm using are brand new. They're carbide tipped and everything and whatever else. So they're just like eating it like crazy. But I mean, I think on aluminum, it matters a lot more because, it's more than just wood.
And what are you mainly using this for, Angelina? Are you using this for your business or just to, goof around with, or?
I guess it's gonna be part of my business. It's just, I got it, and then I've just been, I haven't had a lot of time to mess with it yet, so it's still in the, the experimental phases, but we might do, like wood signs and stuff like that.
And is there any kind of...
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, is there any kind of rebuild time? Because like on my 3D printer, I think it has those same type of, I think they're called Arduino motors. I can't remember for sure, but
it's a stepper motor.
Separate motor. So it has like they have like a certain rebuild time. Like, okay, after 1,000 hours, you got to replace this or rebuild it or something. Like, does it have any information like how long before you're pretty much going to start needing to replace motors on that or belts or anything?
From what I see in the forums on Facebook, they seem to last kind of a while, but they say, like replace the V wheels and like the belts and stuff every, couple thousand hours or so. But the parts are relatively cheap, and then once you get the part, you don't have to send it nowhere or anything like that. You built it yourself. You can kind of fix it yourself too.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I like the idea of using one of those. I think that could make some really, really cool, neat stuff,
Oh yeah, take a look on YouTube sometime. You'll see like crazy awesome stuff.
Speaking of crazy awesome stuff, we'll move into the next topic. And before we do, we'll talk about one of the members over on Gun Channels. And today it's Clover. So I'm sending out links over there. If you're not already subscribed to Clover's chat or Clover's channel, recommend you might want to. He does quite a bit of interesting stuff. On Wednesdays, he does a show about new shooters, kids, and because he does a lot of 4-H stuff and archery and things with new shooters, talks about things from that angle. On Thursdays, he'll do some behind-the-scenes kind of nuts and bolts as a creator or as a content producer. Pretty interesting shows on Thursday. And then on Friday, he does more of a general chat, I think. He has some interviews and things like that. He does some other chats throughout the week. And then he creates content and does things on Instagram and other platforms as well. So one of the more ambitious people creating content out there, and hopefully he does enough of it that you might find something you find interesting, worth a subscription. With John Z, sounds like you might want to check it out.
Yeah. Check it out.
Yeah, CloverTac has his own website too, I believe, that kind of tells about what he does.
Yep, CloverTac.com.
Yep.
All right, so what should we slide into next? Gun shop? Gun shop.
Do we have a gun shop today?
Do we?
We don't. So why don't we let Dead Horse talk about a shop?
I'm down with that.
Okay. Yeah. A good gun shop in Utah. A lot of people might have heard of them before because they're one of the biggest. I think they're one of the biggest firearm online retailers. Also, is Impact Guns. Located all over Utah, from Ogden to Sandy. Great people, great gunsmiths there. If you need some custom 1911 work or AR work or some trigger job, whatever it is, they have awesome gunsmiths on staff. They have fairly good prices, and they have a really neat online store. And I believe the online store, it says impactguns.com. Yeah, impactguns.com. And these guys have been around for a long, long time. They have a lot of killer deals, killer sales, quite often. And to go into their shops, just kind of neat. And there's a good chance that just by going into Impact Guns, you can run into people like from anyone from Nut and Fancy to the Black Rifle Coffee Company guys to a lot of the other people out there on social media who are kind of bigger in the firearm community.
Oh, celebrities.
Yeah, somewhat like fire. I guess you could call them that, like firearm celebrities. But I've definitely seen guys like that at Impact Guns. They tend to visit that shop a lot more often than some of the other shops because they're just really nice. You walk into this gun shop and it is just clean. It's nice. It's just it's a really pleasant place to kind of be in and shop around. And the way that they have their stores laid out. Their firearms laid out. They even have like a little interactive computer that you can walk up to and like add accessories or options to your gun and see what it's going to look like, or Cerakote options, stuff like that. And so it really helps you visualize your gun if you're having some custom work done to it, what it's going to look like after.
So I've always liked Impact. Way back in the olden days of us starting gun websites, 2004 time frame, we were just websites. There was no YouTube or anything like that yet. And we were building websites to inform people about the stuff we were interested in, archive some of the stuff that was not yet on the internet really, and then to provide an alternative to the AR-15, which was the big dominant conversation about guns out there, and it was pretty rough. So we built the gun websites up, and Impact Guns was one of the few affiliates out there that would work with a gun channel, or not channel, but a website back then. And we were making hundreds of dollars a month with Impact for quite a while. In fact, we probably wouldn't be in existence if it wasn't for Impact and their interest in doing that and putting out an affiliate system to basically bring people into them to buy stuff. Like you said, they've always had a big presence on the internet as far as a gun shop, and I think they fostered, if they were fostering us, they had to have been fostering other projects out there, allowing them to exist and be alternatives to the big forums. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then later, like you said, they worked with Not Fancy and Late Boy Scout, all those people that live up in that area. And then in 2010, we went up there to do the outdoor retailer show, and checked out some of the gun shops in the area. And we went to, I think, 2 locations for Impact, and they were definitely cool shops, good people. You could tell they really like guns.
Yes, we do. And I believe Impact even has a couple locations out of state now. I believe I heard they opened one in Idaho, and I think I heard they opened one in Nevada, or they're going to. I don't know if it's open yet, but so that they're actually expanding right now. So
right on. All right, so that was a cool gun shop. Thanks for mentioning that one. Every day we do try to feature a new gun shop, and that's one of the goals of doing the show on a daily basis like this. One of our other goals is to talk about things that aren't necessarily just in the news, to not be influenced by the agenda of some people who own media channels out there and who have some sort of a message. Oh, dang it. Bob was asking for a link over on gun channels and it didn't pop up, so here you go. I don't know if he's still out there. Sorry about that. Sand Hill saying. And what's all this one? So I don't know. I got a bunch of chats here from before. I don't know why that was, but sorry for the whatever. We're going to go over here and screen share and check out the upcoming events. So like I say, we tried to create a show here where we talk about guns, and again, not necessarily react to whatever they're telling us about guns out there. Instead, we want to talk about stuff that's interesting and important, and stuff you might be able to take to the water cooler or the range or the gun shop or the gun show and talk to people about it. So one of those things could be events coming up, places that we get together as human beings. All this online stuff is certainly convenient, certainly valuable, but meeting up in real life is necessary, right? So we've got a Pennsylvania rally coming up on the 30th. That's next Monday. That's certainly a weird time for a rally. I noticed a lot of these are actually happening on weekdays. So I guess there's a better potential for being in front of representatives who are at work instead of going there on a Saturday when everybody's at home. But then you get the traffic and all the other people that are just there to do their work. So that'll be interesting. Sounds like Gun Owners of America is involved in that one, and Larry will be speaking at it. That should be interesting. May 4th, the NRA show in Dallas this year. It's a 3-day event, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Anybody planning on attending that one?
When is it?
April 4th, 5th, and 6th.
You mean May?
I mean May 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Oh, no. I was thinking about going, but I'm not going to go because I will be, traveling after that.
Then we got Knob Creek. Well, I definitely think NRA should be interesting. I saw somebody posted a video over here on the front page earlier about them dudes talking about the NRA show. Then no summary of it didn't make it sound like an interesting video, but it could potentially be an interesting show with so many people dissatisfied with the National Rifle Association's take on things lately. I guess let me lock on me. Anyway, then we got the Knob Creek shoot the weekend after. That's in Kentucky. Been going on for a long time. It's sort of an expedition shoot. People can watch folks gather and shoot machine guns. Pretty sure you can rent machine guns there. They have a big gun show there as well. The Outdoor Retailer Show is what I mentioned earlier about going to Salt Lake City. So if you need an excuse to get to Salt Lake City and you create content, it's very much like SHOT Show, except for camping stores instead of gun shops. So instead of having guns, they'll have kayaks, and instead of having ammunition, they'll have, cooking or stuff and, camping food. But they'll have the knives, and they'll have the flashlights, and they'll have the boots. And again, they'll have, fishing, well, not fishing stuff. They'll have kayaks and mountain bikes and stuff like that. So it's an interesting show for outdoor shops, and you get a great opportunity to create content and to network with people who are in the outdoor industry. Since Salt Lake City, it's always a good excuse to go there. It's a great place. A lot of gun history. Go up to Browning Museum. Let's see. Then we got Psycho put in here the Connecticut Citizens Defense League annual picnic. Looks like it's coming up in August. I guess that's not super hot there. The Bullpup shoot. I'm guessing that's the one in Illinois again, September. So that's quite a ways off. Looks like we could use some new things. If you want to create an event, just go up to events here on the top of any page on Gun Channels. Anybody who's signed in as a member can click on that. And right over here, you can create a new event. We're basically looking at the same list here. So after that would be the Gun Rights Policy Conference on September 28th. That'll happen in Chicago. And that's the Second Amendment Foundation. I think they're in their 30-something year, 3 decades plus, bringing together all the gun rights organizations to one spot each year where they get to network and collaborate. They do some strategy work and let everybody know, get up on stage. Each group will get up on stage. Different segments of the gun community will get up on stage and talk about advocacy, talk about what they've been doing, what they need, resources they have or need, and what they see as the future. And it's a great time to get together with other Second Amendment advocates, and that travels around. It's in a different spot each year. This year it's in Chicago. Knob Creek happens twice a year, so it looks like we got the other one in here, which is in October. I don't have Big Sandy in here. It already happened this year at the beginning, but it'll happen at the end of October. Usually I'll put it in the calendar here. That's a big machine gun shoot, similar to Knob Creek, but I think it's been going on almost as long, but it's a lot more, I don't know what to call it, grassroots, not as formal, and you have to kind of get there. It's not as convenient, and once you get there, it's a whole different experience. Then you get the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers, sort of a mix between Outdoor Retailer and SHOT Show. It's a show for gun shops, sporting goods stores, I guess. So like your Popular and your Academy, those kind of stores. So they do have a little bit of guns there. The main name brand stuff, I don't think your military and law enforcement stuff will show up. Probably your hunting stuff will be there. Again, your boots and your clothes and your other outdoor stuff, probably fishing stuff. Gun Blast always goes to that one. I think it travels around too, but in the middle of the country. Oh, I guess there's Big Sandy happening in October. All right, so that's some stuff happening on the calendar. There's more stuff in here. This just kind of shows you a quick description of some of the upcoming stuff. And again, we encourage anybody to put stuff in here for a couple of reasons. One, so we talk about it in our show. Hopefully other people are talking about it in their shows. It's a resource that's here on Gun Channels. But it's also useful not just for the individuals, the human beings that are reading this or potentially reading this, but as you post an event like this Pennsylvania 2A rally, that's one more instance of it on the internet, on a channel like, or on a page like Gun Channels. That's a website that gets quite a few views. Having a link like this wired into it, as far as the backside of the internet goes, this adds more relevancy to this event. So when time comes for someone to say what's going on in Pennsylvania this weekend, the more instances of an event like this posted out on the internet, the more reason there is for the search engine to provide it as a result. So it's this kind of stuff that they can't pay for that. There's not enough. There's not a marketing team that has a strategy to go out and place links out there. Even if they did, it would be very expensive to do that. But we as individuals, if we think of ourselves not as audience, but as useful players in the game, we can post things like this on places like gun channels, on Facebook, on other websites, and on other platforms, creating our own places on the internet and creating places like event calendars on those places on the internet. And we can affect some of this, what gets displayed as far as a relevant event, or what gets, how many times guns are, listed on the internet. All that can be influenced by people who choose to use the internet with intent. And hopefully we'll remember that. And that's one of the reasons we do this show, is to remind people of that and give them some ideas on how to work with that. So that was our events portion of the show. We could look at some history, I guess, unless you guys want to do something else.
What about gun of the day?
Gun of the day. We'll let that up to Dead Horse. It is episode 556. Maybe you can come up with something for a gun of the day.
Oh yeah, I definitely can. I did want to add one event in there real quick to you, Ebbs, if I could.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, on May 5th here in South Jordan, Utah, just south of Salt Lake City, we have a free gun show coming up May 5th. It starts, I believe, at 8 a.m. in the morning and goes to 6 or 7 p.m. at night. There's going to be free gun safety classes there for the kids. There's going to be some free training and gun tip classes for the adults. There's going to be raffles and prizes. This is the second gun show they have put on. And the last one, I think they gave away 3 guns, 3 free guns. And it was absolutely great. Good family time experience. Take the whole family. It's kind of set up differently than a regular gun show.
Where is it?
It's at the Salt Lake County Equestrian Center in South Jordan. And it's May 5th. It's sponsored by Utah Gun Exchange, which you might have heard of, UGE Tube, which is a new video platform that's been put out there by Utah Gun Exchange to help gun guys who are putting out firearm content related videos, to give them a safe place to upload their videos and share their content. So it's put on by those guys. And May 5th, 8 a.m., free gun show. Bring the whole family. It is very, very family friendly. They really focus on that. So there's something there for your wife to do if she's not even into guns. There'll be like concealed carry purses and jewelry and stuff. There'll be stuff there for the kids to do, like bounce houses and stuff like that. So it's very, very family friendly, and it's a whole different type of gun show experience. It really is. It's a really neat experience. So if anyone's passing through the Salt Lake area on May 5th or live in Utah, I highly advise you to check that out, because, well, it's free, so why not?
Oh, it's free to get in, you're saying?
Yeah, it's completely free. The kids' firearm classes are free. The tip classes for the adults are free. They have discounted concealed carry classes. The bounce houses for the kids were free. Stuff like that. So you literally, if you're, granted, if your child's old enough, but you can pretty much just drop them off at the bounce houses and then go look at guns. So it's a really good experience for the whole family.
Right on. Well, let's talk about there. So if you're not going to the NRA and you're close to Salt Lake City, then that's worth checking out. I'm just stuck in the gun channels.
Sounded pretty fun.
Oh yeah, the first one was definitely a blast. It was absolutely awesome. I mean, it was just it was a whole new gun experience for me, a gun show experience. I've never been to a gun show set up like this, and I think it was really an ingenious idea, that the way that they set it up that way, instead of just tables and guns for sale, where your kids might be walking around for hours just bored as hell. And well, now your kids have stuff to do like that. They have plenty to do. They have like face painting and just all sorts of kind of cool stuff. So there is plenty for everyone in your family to do and keep them busy and interested while you're looking at guns.
Well, dang, that's the kind of thing I was hoping to find as I was driving around the country looking at stuff on this tour. So that's encouraging, though, to know that there's stuff like that out there where people are taking a new
Yeah,
look.
and I think they're going to be doing it twice a year now. So I think that there's the one in May, and then there's the one in October. So so
Yeah.
twice a year, we're going to be having this gun show, and this is only the second one that they have that they've had. The first one was last October.
Well, like I
But
say, I think that people are putting gun shows in a new, or thinking about gun shows as far as like, fresh and making them different. And certainly worth going to Salt Lake City to see other things gun related there. So if you got to think about traveling a little bit, I would definitely encourage a visit to Salt Lake City. If you've never been, it's worth the experience. And if you've been, you know what I'm talking about. It's a beautiful place.
Very lovely place. I've been.
All right. Well, we've got some history today. Oh, wait. Did we even do a gun of the day?
No, we didn't.
So what are you trying to do history and get out of doing a gun of the day? What's up with that? So
That was you.
556, Dead Horse, got a gun of the day? Oh,
yes, I do. My gun of the day is the VSS Ventores. It's or let's see, I can't say. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Ventores. The Vinkovka Snaperskaya. I can't say it. It's all in Russian, but it's a special forces like sniper rifle used by Russian Spetsnaz special forces. It's a mass-produced, integrally suppressed firearm. I think it's the only mass-produced, integrally suppressed firearm ever made. Let's see. It's integrally suppressed barrel. So basically, the entire barrel looks like a suppressor on this gun. It's a very short, compact system. I think it only has a 16-inch barrel, but it's a sniper. It's considered a sniper rifle. It's a long stroke gas piston. The gun looks absolutely beautiful. Let's see if I can find a.
You talking about this?
Let me see here. Yeah, that one right there. Yep, that's it. And it's a rifle I just barely watched a video about last week, and I didn't. I've never even heard of this gun before, but I watched a whole YouTube video talking about the history and the performance of it. And this is just, I'm like, wow, how come we don't have a rifle like this in the U.S.? I mean, like, it was really neat to see a 16-inch barreled gun, shooting MOA groups at 1,000 yards. So, it was shooting under 10-inch groups shooting under 10-inch groups at 1,000 yards. And it fires a weird cartridge. It's based on the 7.62 by 39, but it's not. It's like a 9 by 39 cartridge. So it's like a 9mm that shoots a 280 grain bullet. Or it was a super heavy bullet for a 9mm. It's really weird. And these guys were lobbing these rounds in at 1,000 yards, and literally they're lobbing them in like mortar shells. They were raining down like mortar shells, and the accuracy was still just phenomenal. Like the guy shot a 3-shot group under 10 inches at 1,000 yards with that rifle, and it's basically a 9mm. It's what all 9mm should be, is what I should say.
So do you see this?
What's that?
You see this picture of it? That's like
See,
broke down view, and it's got this NRS fighting knife here, which is a fighting knife that has one round in the grip that'll shoot out this way. I've got that Bakelite scabbard for sale over on Gear websites. If anyone wants to buy that green Bakelite scabbard right there, it's for sale. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that. It can penetrate 8mm of steel. And for a gun that's like subsonic, because like pretty much all the ammo that it's shooting is subsonic. It's meant to be like really, really, really quiet. But for the long range capability of such a round only traveling 1,000 feet per second, I couldn't believe it. I've never seen such a slow round that had such a bad ballistic coefficiency really be that accurate at that kind of distances. So I would highly advise some people watch some videos and reviews on that gun, because I've never even heard of it before the other day, and it's a sweet gun. It really is.
Look at that cartridge. in that projectile.
Yep. It's a 9. It's basically like a heavy ass 9mm stuck in a 7.62 case. That's
Look, this thing is. Can you see what's going on there? That's a hollow steel projectile with an open butt. So it could be all powder, but the projectile is this big metal thing. See what I'm saying? Oh, it's open.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. It's
Like
just a hollow shell filled with powder.
This is lead, but this one's got a big steel core in it. You can see the big steel core. I don't think this has anything in it. That could just be all powder. That's some interesting stuff right there. All right, that's a good gun of the day. So at first you couldn't even say what it was, so that made me think that you were copying off of Bob, and then you said you'd seen some video, so you've seen some Forgotten Weapons?
Yeah, I think it was Forgotten Weapons. I was watching YouTube and the auto playlist, like whatever played next, a video came on about that, and I was like, holy crap, this rifle's just beautiful. It really is. It's just I'm really jealous. I wish I could have something like that. And the performance was just outstanding.
There's somebody Bob there.
It's the first 9mm that's probably worth having.
Okay, so now we'll go into history, and we missed a couple of things because of the weekend or whatever. So it was 4/21 on Saturday, which was Day of the Red Baron was shot down and killed. So Nazi got killed. And then it was Earth Day on the 22nd. And I always like take a second to remind everyone that Earth Day is communist bullshit that was started back by Stalin. And it was basically everybody in communist lands needed to clean up the state. And a bunch of suckers took it on and called it Earth Day over here. And it's literally just a Russian clean up your state holiday or else, comrade. So I don't like Earth Day. Earth Day is communist. And then today's the 23rd. At least for some of us, it's still the 23rd, and it's the Army Reserve's birthday. One of the best branches of all branches. They always send the reserve in and police actions and shit before all the regular Army goes in. So never get credit for doing everything. They do everything, and then they have to clean up after. So Marines and Navy and stuff act like they do all the work. Army Reserve does all the actual work. So very cool. And that was their birthday today. I guess I don't have a graphic for that. I need to get one. And then I guess we have some other history over in the this day in history place. Library of Congress was established today in 1800 with a.
Wait, what's today? Is today the 23rd or the 24th?
Now I'm going off of the 24th because of the thing I'm using flips over with New York, I guess.
Okay.
So Library of Congress today, April 24th, 1800. Started the Library of Congress. 1805, 5 years later, Marines ran over and captured the town of something in Tripoli from the Barbary pirates.
It's a very important day to Bob today.
Because of 1833, the patent was granted for the first soda fountain?
Nope. Because in 1953, Winston Churchill was knighted.
By that queen.
By queen. By Bob's queen.
1898, Spain declared war in the United States, rejecting an ultimatum to withdraw from Cuba. So, how about that? Spanish-American War, I guess. 1898.
1972, Apollo 16 astronauts. Last time we were to the moon, right?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, was on this day.
So 1981, this is the 24th again, 1981, IBM personal computer is introduced. That's interesting. 1981. Anybody interesting born today? No. All right. Well, there's a little bit of history. Maybe
yesterday, William Shakespeare was born.
a writer. Oops. All right. So looking around, don't have any other stuff happening. I don't know what happened on the gun channel side. We got a ton of people over there sleeping with the little Z's, but no chattering going on. Maybe I'll refresh. Maybe there's some glitch.
No, I think everyone just stopped.
All right. Well, with that, appreciate Dead Horse jumping in for episode 556. It was 556 extravaganza. I thought it was also kind of neat that it happened on 2/23. Well, it has nothing to do with 4/23, but 23 is kind of like 2/23. And is episode 556. So everybody who's listening right now, reach down underneath your chairs, and if you left an AR-15 laying there, you got a gun. And you got a gun, and you got a gun.
Everyone's got a gun.
So it's always a good idea to leave something laying underneath there, because you never know if we're going to have you discover it and have it again.
And take credit for it.
Let's see. So with that, I guess we're pretty close to being at the end of the show. Did history. We did a gun of the day. We tried to do that. We like to talk about, we didn't do a gun movie. Any gun movies happening? Dead Horse.
You should make Dead Horse pick.
Yep. Dead Horse. Last movie you seen?
Last movie I saw, that was a gun movie. I just barely watched Heat the other night. Again, for probably the 100th time.
Oh, I was going to say, first time? What?
It was on Netflix. It's on Netflix, and I was like, "Oh wow, Heat's on Netflix." So I'm gonna watch it for probably the 100th time. But so that's my gun movie is Heat. Probably one of the most realistic firearm handling type movies I would say out there that's ever been made. There's really not too many cliche gun handling stuff in Heat. So I really appreciate that. Whoever did that film, did all the choreography of the gun handling and all that kind of, I think really knew what they were doing. They were like, oh no, that's fake. People wouldn't do that. This is the way they would do that. So they incorporated that into the film, a lot of more realistic gun handling techniques. I appreciate that.
Angelina, you seen it? I think we've talked about this one before.
No, I haven't seen it, but no one's surprised.
I don't mind the movie. I mean, it's fine, but it's like the bad guys. It's like the bad guys are the heroes. So all the cool stuff is happening because guys are ripping off the bank or whatever. I'd probably like it a lot more if it was like about the cops' point of view, stopping them or them doing something cool or something. It's like a crime movie. Right?
Yeah. No, definitely. But it's still my favorite Val Kilmer movie. I don't think Val Kilmer's ever done a better movie.
You don't like him?
I like Val Kilmer. He was Batman, and I do like Batman.
What about Tombstone, where he's what's his face?
Actually, yeah, Doc Holliday.
I haven't seen Tombstone.
Huckleberry and whatnot.
You haven't seen Tombstone either?
I ain't seen it, but I have been to the real Tombstone. So isn't that better?
Yeah, I don't know. That movie was so good.
Going there is technically a thing, but how can you run around acting like with the stuff if you haven't seen the movies to know what they run around doing?
Well, because you read the plaques. And then you know the OK Corral and all that. I mean, I don't know what else they were doing. Do they go in the bird cage and everything?
In the movie? No.
Oh, well, that's
movie, it's like a whole different town or whatever, and it's different. So they didn't film it there or anything, I don't think.
Well, anyway, as usual, I've disappointed with a movie.
All right, well, that was Heat was the movie, though. So anyway, we try to do a gun-related movie every day, gun shop every day, and the other stuff. So we did all that. We fulfilled our obligation. We appreciate everybody for joining us for the show. We are working on, I think we got a tighter format here for a bit, and I'm thinking about trying to figure out a way to get more guests in as, I guess just guests, not so much hosts, but do maybe some interviews and things like that. And we're looking for feedback on that. So you can either drop us a line at dailygunshow@gmail.com or over on the Patreon or wherever. and give us some feedback on the show. My goal is to keep featuring gun shops every day and have a conversation about guns that isn't driven by the agenda-based media. So within that general guideline, I'm curious to see what kind of stuff people are interested in, and hopefully do something that's not exactly the same as some of the other shows that are on, our warm-up shows. Well, with that, Angelina, you're heading out, but it sounds like you still have some slots open for people that want to do custom stickers. I just grabbed one of those slots today.
Yep, we do. We still have spots if anyone needs custom stuff, but we're closing that on like the 3rd, I think. But there's going to be 5 new patches, so buy things from alaninker.com.
5 new patches coming?
5, yeah, can you believe it? 5 new patches.
Because I only know about 2, so I feel like somebody's holding out.
I think you know about all of them.
I know about 2. All right, and then Dead Horse is doing the show and tell. I was going to say hide and seek, but that would be a totally different kind of show.
Yeah, show and tell Thursdays.
Where is the Mission Force Tactical stock on the ARs in this picture? But anyway, you're doing the show and tell shows in the evenings. Those have been pretty cool. Keeping it on the gun topics, and well, I don't know. I haven't seen all of them. Have you been building in them? I know you were talking about ARs the other day.
No, we're going to be, me and David both are going to be building ARs. I have a $252 AR that's how much it cost me to acquire everything for it. And I'm going to be building that on the show starting next week. And then we're going to, everyone who follows the show is going to see basically how a $252 AR performs that just gets slapped together. And then we're going to go through some mods on it, like bedding the barrel and lapping the barrel and free floating the handguard, stuff like that, to kind of see what accuracy you can, really get out of such a cheap gun. So they'll be able to kind of follow the history of this rifle from it being built all the way to it being modified to see what kind of potential we can get out of it.
When are you doing that?
Starting next week. So my bolt carrier group is supposed to be here sometime this week, and that's the only part I'm waiting for to build it. So it'll probably be not this Thursday, but the next Thursday is when I'll start it. And then right after that series, where we're doing that series, David's going to be doing a higher end precision build that's probably a $3,000 or $4,000 rifle, using like an $800 barrel and stuff like that. He's going to be doing a really high end build, and then people will get to see basically from start to finish, like when you just go all out and buy the most expensive stuff right off the bat, what kind of accuracy are you going to get out of that, and what kind of performance. And so they'll be able to follow the history of both these rifles. And then we have other builds going on. I'm going to do an 80% lower from start to finish on the show to show people how to do that. I'm going to do it 2 different ways. One's I'm going to do it more basic drill press and file way. And then I'm going to do the router way, like what we were talking about earlier tonight. I'm going to do one with the router and then show the differences and kind of show my little tricks and tips and stuff that I've learned from doing so many 80%ers. And but be doing all that live on the show. So if I mess up and I screw up, well, you guys get to see that live and laugh at me. So make sure to tune in for that, because I guarantee you there's bound to be some screw ups.
Right on. Well, appreciate you doing those. Continuing that series. You've been doing those for a while now. I was going through Instagram the other day looking for a picture to tag somebody, and went back like 2 years when we started. Well, when I started doing those with you, and you had already done a bunch of them before that. So that's pretty cool, especially with the way YouTube's being jerks about everything now. Appreciate you putting stuff out there, and then I'm confident whenever you, if something has happened with the YouTube side, I'm sure you'll go to the next platform and continue to do it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm using for right now. Is I'm just using YouTube. Basically, I'm using the Google Hangouts, using YouTube, and then once it's on YouTube, I can edit it or do whatever I need to, and then I can download it back off YouTube and then put it everywhere else, like on GunTube and UGETube and stuff like that, and then use all those other sources. So right now, I'm just kind of, until one of those get until one of those GunTube or something gets a live option where you can do live videos. I'm kind of forced, I think, to do YouTube right now. I don't know of another live setting where I can go live on it and have it captured afterwards.
Because that's the main thing. I've been exploring too a little bit, as we're playing with gun channels and stuff here, and looking at what options are out there. And that's the key, is being able to what do they call it? Render the live thing afterwards and turn it into a video, so that you have a finished product when you're done. That's been the trick. So I'm sure these platforms will get that, because there's definitely a lot of people who are using this for all different kinds of things. But I think there's definitely a lot of demand for it, and they'll figure out how to accomplish it. Like you say, the Utah Gun Exchange, UTG, no, Huge Tube.
UGE. Yeah.
Huge Tube. Matt was, a big proponent of not calling it a gun thing, and that one they have a real potential for just slipping the gun exchange part away from the logo, and then just calling it Huge Tube. That's kind of a play on you and the whole Trump thing. So I think they got some real potential there. So there's a couple of those ventures out there, and I'm sure with like anything capitalism, some will succeed, some will fail. People learn from the mistakes, people learn from the successes, and we'll see a better internet.
I think so.
Right on. Well, again, thanks for being part of that, and thanks for jumping in the show tonight for episode 556. Thanks everybody for joining us. Do we have a quote? Should we do a what's his face quote, because he's a knight today?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably the best one. Go to Bob's Churchill website.
Guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.